Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching in the world. Welcome to our live stream today at Conquer British English. We're going to be discussing Desi pronunciation perfection. This is the fourth video in our series today. Last week we discussed a whole bunch of top tips for understanding Indian English versus British English. And today I have a three-part lesson planned for you. So let's show you the lined paper that we have, the virtual lined paper that we have. There we are. So let me just move my screen a little bit. There we go. So we got the notes there. So first we're going to be discussing rhoticity. Number 2, word stress. And number 3, Indian vocabulary versus slang. In previous videos, we've talked about vowel sounds, consonant sounds, accent, pacing, intonation, tone. We discussed all of those things in previous videos, so check that out after this one. But today we're going to be going through these three. Let me just make sure I'm keeping an eye on the live stream comments as well. But without further ado, let's get straight into this lesson. So you might be wondering what actually is rhoticity. Now, rhoticity, I've already prepared the meaning for you. So let's take a little read. Rhoticity, or how we use the R sound in English, is key to understanding different English accents. Rhoticity, or how we use the R sound in English, is key to understanding different English accents. So the R sound is very, very important to understand how we can differentiate between the two accents. Now, I want to give you some examples of the R sound in various different places. You can even hear the R in rhoticity, right? So we don't want to roll the R for the British accent. And it is also, in various different accents, even within different countries, the R in English is pronounced differently, even in American versus British English. So let us discuss a few easy examples, and I'll give you some example sentences to practice. So the first example that I've got for you is, let me take a look at my notes. Now, I think this might be influenced from various mother tongues. So we've got the word here, start. Now, so hi Amaya. Maya asks the American way of speaking. Yeah, so I'm going to be kind of giving you differences between American English, British English, and Indian English. Hi Sid, totally Sid. Welcome to our class today. So when we've got British English, so British, this is how I like to think of it, and then American. Okay, this is how I like to think of it. So if I'm using the word start, in Indian English it would be start or start. And there's a H sound, I think. So I don't know Hindi, but it reminds me of Hindi. It's like the ha. I hear the ha sound. Santosh, hi, vanakkam, good to see you. Thank you for joining our live stream today. So in the Indian accent we have start. Do you hear the ha? Start. Or this could be start as well, where you kind of heavily pronounce the R, right? So Let me write that down for you. Or start. And then in American English, let's take a look at this R sound in American English. So we can use the phrase, British English is non-rhotic, and Indian and American English is rhotic. Sounds like roti. Rhotic. It's basically if you pronounce your R or not. So in Indian English, we do pronounce the R, as in start, or start, which is non-rhotic. And then in American English, it's rhotic. So they do pronounce their R's in American English. They go start, 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 star, You can already hear the sound, start, start. But in British accent, we actually get rid of it. It's non-rhotic. So we get rid of the R sound completely. So we just say start, start. So listen to start, 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 start. So we don't want to curl our tongue at all if you're trying to sound British. We don't want to curl the tongue. Notice if you tried it in the American accent, you curl the tongue. Star, You're creating pressure between your tongue and the top of your mouth by reducing the gap between the airflow. So you go R. But in British English, start, your tongue doesn't move at all. Try that. So in a few seconds, I'm going to give you some silent time to practice this. In the British accent, keep your tongue right on the bottom. Don't move your tongue to the top of your mouth. Keep it relaxed. Relax your tongue. Try that for me now. Relax your tongue. Keep it flat on the bottom. And just move your mouth. So can you do this for me? Ah, ah. Just create an R sound. Ah, like an A. Ah. Do you notice your tongue moving? Exactly, it's not moving. So ah. Start. Relax your tongue for the entire thing. Start. Start. Indian English, they roll the R, so start. Start. So you're involving your tongue. You don't want to involve your tongue. And then in American English, you do have to involve your tongue. You go start. Oh, sorry. Start. Start. So you're involving your tongue. In British English, in the British accent, you don't involve your tongue. So keep it relaxed, and it's start. Try that for me. Maya asks what my first language is. So this one's a hard one to answer because I grew up in the UK, right? But my mother tongue is Tamil, and I spoke Tamil in my house for the first 3 years of my life because we didn't speak English at home, and my parents didn't speak much English either. So I consider Tamil to be my first language because Tamil is, or Tamil, which is how it's pronounced, Tamil, is how I spoke at home for the first few years of my life. And then after going to school, that's when I learned British English with my friends here in the UK. Okay, guys, so we're going to give you an example sentence to work through. Okay. So this is the word that I want you to focus on. And then let me just highlight the R's for you. Okay, there we are. So take a little look and try and put into practice what we've just learned. So these R's, so we learned that in the British accent, we don't want to involve the tongue at all. We want to keep the tongue relaxed. For these R's, right, at the end, we do want to involve it for this R, because it's at the start. But anything in the middle or the end, we don't want to involve the tongue. We don't want to curl the tongue, we just want to keep it relaxed. So I'm going to give you 20 seconds to say this sentence out loud wherever you're practicing. Okay, well this is how I would pronounce it in the Indian accent, then I'm going to switch to the American, and then I'll do British last. Okay, let us start with Indian accent. Next time you start your email, please remember to sign off formally. I will repeat one more time. Next time you start your email, please remember to sign off formally. In the American accent, it would be next time you start. So I'm not an expert in the American, but I'm going to try anyway. Next time you start your email, please remember to sign off formally. Please remember to sign off formally. And then in the British accent, it would be next time you start your email, please remember to sign off formally. And I'm going to help you with remember. Remember, right? It just ends an sound. It's a schwa sound. So remember, remember. Say that for me. Remember. Next time you start your, not your, just your. Next time you start your email, please remember to sign off formally. You're not involving your tongue. My tongue is relaxed the whole time. Formally. Not formally or not formally. So there's rhotic sounds because you're involving the R sound, right? You don't want to hear it. So formally. Right, I'm going to speed up and then I'm going to disappear so you can practice. Next time you start your email, please remember to sign off formally. Next time you start your email, please remember to sign off formally. And actually, before I disappear, I kind of want to explain what the sentence even means. So you know when you're writing an email, in British English and in London and the UK, we like to sign off with best wishes or kind regards, comma, and then we put our name. So when you're sending an email to another business or a colleague, we want to use formal language when we're signing off or when we're writing emails. Hi, Maida5. Thanks for joining our lesson. And hi Maya again. I really like how you've got your sort of Latin alphabet spelling of your name, and then you've also got the Cyrillic alphabet using a slash, which I think is really, really cool. I also do the same with my emails. I've got my English sort of name, as in using English letters, so Anpu, and then I've also got my name written in Tamil next to it, like I'm using a slash as well. So it's really, really cool. Okay, well, let's just quickly discuss a few other examples before we move on to the next top tip. So did you guys see how we want to discuss these things? Rhoticity, word stress, and then Indian vocabulary versus slang. Let's just go through a few more examples of rhoticity. Now, I've got my notes prepared here. Just give me a second. Okay, so obviously I've like exaggerated the the pronunciations here. And I do that. I exaggerate it just so that you can hear the difference. And I think for educational purposes, I think it's just useful. So yeah, in the Indian accent, it's rhotic, so you can hear far, or far. It is far. In American English, it'd be far. It's so far, I literally can't even walk there. So it's far. It's so far. Sorry, yeah, it's a bit weird showing my tongue, but I kind of want to show what's going on. Do you see how you're curling your tongue? Literally. Far. But then look, when I'm saying British far, look, it's just on the bottom. There's no curling, it's just relaxed. Far. Gosh, it's so far. Gosh, it is so far. So far. Gosh, it's so far. The train station is so far. Indian accent far. American far. British far. So practice saying the sentence for me. The train station is so far. The train station is so far. The train station is so far. Maya asks, what does Tamil look like? Yeah, I'm more than happy to show you. So on my emails, this is how I sign off. So kind regards. I like that one. And then there we are. Oh no, the font is weird. Hold on, let me try and change this. No, that's not exactly what it looks like. Hold on. Let's see if I can. Just give me a second. I want to show you what it looks like. Oh, what? No, that's not what it looks like. Nope. That's really annoying because this is correct. I mean, it's very close. It's just let's see if I can try another font. Nope. Sorry guys, it's not working. But what I'll do is, let me just quickly see if there's a Tamil font on my system. See, I don't think there is. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay, let's delete that. And then we have my name. Sorry guys, my computer gets really slow when I live stream just because it's yeah, it's a heavy software. It requires a lot of like bandwidth. So yeah, it just gets really super slow. As you can see with my kind of cursor, so hard to use. I wish I could afford a new sort of laptop, but they can get really expensive. Right, how do I increase the size? Let me increase the size for you guys. There we go. Oh, finally. There we go. So that is what my name looks like, if you were interested. Okay. And in terms of Tamil text, I want to show you what the text looks like. So I'm just going to maybe just put something on your screen. Whilst I'm doing that, maybe you can practice what we were practicing earlier in the lesson. There we go. That's what Tamil looks like. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, let me get prepared for the next part of the lesson. Maya says the Tamil letters are far from Latin. Yeah, but it's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's a really pretty language, and I'm really grateful to be able to speak it. Okay, let's move on to the second part of our lesson plan, which is all about, let's go back to the top, word stress. Okay. Okay, so where would you put the word stress in these examples? Just give me 1 second, guys. Okay, so first example is this one here. and I would like to investigate what's happening in this word. So in the Indian accent, it would be, this is where I'd put the stress, but then in British accent, this is where I would put the stress. But actually, the stress does depend on whether it's used as a noun or a verb. Now, did you know that when it's a noun, it's pronounced differently to when it's a verb? So look at this. So I think this is technically incorrect. I mean, this could be either. Let me explain that a little bit more. So that's when it's a noun. And that's when it's a verb. Watch this. So okay. So in the Indian accent, it will be research, but in British accent, it will be research. So research, 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 research. So do you see how the first bit is very, very quick? Research. But in Indian accent, it will be research, right? Let me know in the comments if you can hear the difference there, because I'd be interested to see if you can actually hear it, the difference. Okay, but when you're using it as a verb, we say to research, right? So you have to put the emphasis on this bit in British English. So we would say research. I would like to research more. I would like to research more. But if I said there is lots of research, you see how that's used as a noun? It's not a verb. So in that case, we do want to put the emphasis and stress on this bit. There is lots of research on this topic. There is lots of research on this topic. We don't say there is lots of research on this topic. But then when using it as a verb, I would like to research more. So that would be the main difference there. Maya says, can you say something in Tamil? Yeah. What shall I say for you guys? Let me have a little think. வணக்கம், எப்படி இருக்கிறீங்க? என் பேர் வந்து அன்பு. நான் வந்து இப்போ லைவ் ஸ்ட்ரீம் கொடுத்து கொண்டிருக்கிறேன். இப்போ திங்கள், புதன், செவ்வாய்க்கிழமை. இப்போ 3 மணி ஆயிட்டு, இல்லை 3:10 ஆயிட்டுது. என்ன ஒரு 20 நிமிஷம் இருக்காக்கும் இந்த லைவ் ஸ்ட்ரீமுக்கு. நான் இப்போ ஆக்களுக்கு சொல்லிக் கொடுத்து கொண்டிருக்கிறேன். இப்போ இந்தியன் ஆக்சென்ட்டும் பிரிட்டிஷ் ஆக்சென்ட்டும் எப்படி வித்தியாசமாக விளங்கி கொள்வது, எப்படி அந்த டாப் டிப்ஸ், எப்படி இந்த மாதிரி விஷயங்கள் சொல்லிக் கொடுத்து கொண்டிருக்கிறேன். இதான் தமிழ். அதுவும் நான் வந்து ஒரு யாழ்ப்பாண ஆக்சென்ட்டில் கதைச்சு கொண்டிருக்கிறேன். சில ஆக்கள் obviously they'll be like, oh, you're speaking in a sort of Sri Lankan Jaffna accent, but there are lots of different accents in Tamil as well, just like how there's lots of different accents in English. Okay, let's discuss a couple more examples. But in the meantime, let's just take a look at this one here. I think the other classic example is this one here. So in Indian English, it would be photography, 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 photo. So the first bit is photo and then graphy, photography. But in British English, it would be photography, photography. So say the first bit quickly, and then graphy. So try photography, 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 photography. Try that for me, photography. So Maya has an excellent question. She asks, is the word research used when we only speak about science? No, so we can use research just when you want to investigate into something. So if your colleague at work says, oh, I don't know why that's gone wrong, you could say, let me research into that. Let me research into that. As in if you're going to do some Googling, if you're going to investigate to why, you could argue that's a form of research. So doing extra studying into a particular area could be also considered research as well. Students can also do research when they're discussing projects. I remember I set one of my year 8 class some research into historical figures. So they had to do some research on the internet. So you can research on the internet. So that's about history and queens and kings. That's not about science. So research is considered a way of finding out information, collating that information from either journals, articles, and all of those resources. So essentially access points to information. Hope that makes sense. There are lots more examples when it comes to word stress. For example, 1 second, let me just quickly grab the notes up. Sorry, I don't have my notes at the moment, but just from the top of my head, computer. So instead of saying computer or computer, it would be computer. Computer. So it's the pew bit that we stress in the sentence there, in the word there. So computer. Computer, not computer. Computer. All right, let's go through the last part of our lesson, which is Indian vocabulary versus slang. So this is something that I touched upon in my video with Lucy. If you haven't seen that video, then go check that out. But there are lots of words that we use in English. So we discussed in that video, for example, what prepone means. So it's actually the opposite of postpone in Indian English. So prepone in Indian English means to bring forward a meeting, for example. To bring forward. It's the opposite of postpone. So you know how postpone means, oh, can we do the meeting later? Like you push it back. Prepone means to bring it forward. And when Lucy and I were doing our research as to kind of like words that they only use in Indian English, prepone was one of them. So that's something to really think about, is what language and vocabulary am I actually using? Another one is lakh, right? So lakhs. So this is equal to 100,000 units. So this number in English is written 100,000, right? 100,000. 100,000. 100,000. So if you said, oh, the house was worth 3 lakhs, that would be 300,000. But in British English, you want to use the right lingo and the right London slang. So you could say the house was worth 300 grand. It's so expensive you wouldn't believe. Now, to be honest, 300 grand is actually really cheap for a house in London. But if it was like 900 grand, that would be 900,000, right? Almost a million. And so there are lots of houses in London where that's like a general price, honestly, for a house like that. In some areas, that's considered cheap. So if I was to say this in the British accent, there we are, you can see that now. So if I was to say that in the British accent, it would be, the house was worth 900 grand. It's so expensive, can you believe? Or you wouldn't believe. The house was worth 900 grand. It's so expensive, you wouldn't believe. So guys, that's one of the top tips as well, is to have a think about slang or local terms. So you can see how we've got the word grand. Now, grand is not considered too informal. I mean, I wouldn't use it in a letter, but I would use it in day-to-day life, grand. But it's not super formal either. So the house is worth 900 grand. It's so expensive, you wouldn't believe. Now, if I was to read that in the Indian accent, it would be, the house is worth 900 lakh. Sorry, 9 lakh. 9 lakh. It is so expensive, you wouldn't believe. The house was worth 9 lakh. It is so expensive, you wouldn't believe. So expensive, you wouldn't believe. The house was worth 900 grand. It's so expensive, you wouldn't believe. Try to practice that. So guys, we have been streaming for almost 40 minutes. It's been a joy teaching you guys, as usual. This concludes Desi pronunciation perfection. There are lots more top tips that I have in store, but it's impossible to teach everything on these live streams, in one lesson. So that's why I came up with a series, part 1 to 4, Desi pronunciation perfection, every Wednesday. And today concludes the final part of this series. So if you've just joined, there's part 1, part 2, part 3 from previous weeks to go check out, and this is the 4th and final part, but it doesn't have to be the final part. I am going to be scheduling some live streams in March. I am looking forward to teaching you then. Any topic ideas, please let me know. I'm here to help you. I don't know. I mean, of course, I can come up with the lesson plans, but I need you to tell me what you want to learn, right? So, of course, I can come up with a lesson plan for any aspect of English, grammar, accents. That's all fine, but I don't want to deliver anything that you are going to not value from. If you're not going to get value from it, then I don't want to make it, right? So I want to be able to tailor it to what you guys need. And the only way that I understand what you guys need is if you like message me or like on the comments, like either leave me a few comments, let me know what you want, what you'll benefit from. You can DM me on Instagram. But yeah, we will be we will be streaming on Wednesdays. But let me just recap the comments. Let's just make sure I haven't missed out any comments. Maya says, I've seen your video with Lucy. Oh, cool. Nice. Was worth equals cost. Yeah, but I guess your worth could also be non-monetary as well. So how much you're worth is in like your worth as a human being, right? Is not monetary. It's not related to the cost of yourself as a human being. It's just how much you value it, right? In a non-financial sense. So yeah, interesting question. Krishnasamy Sanjeevan, hi from Sri Lanka. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining our live stream. Unfortunately, we are just ending the live stream. So if you have just joined, feel free to watch this video back and also the previous streams that we've been doing every Wednesday. So I hope it has been useful. If you want to see more of these sort of videos, if you want to just kind of do some practice with me, me reading out sentences and then me giving you some time to read it back, if that's working well, please let me know. If you would rather me go through grammar and change up the lesson plan and style, please let me know. If you would rather, like, what do you want these live streams to be about? Please let me know. Okie dokes, before we log off, let's just quickly recap from the beginning. So we've gone through rhoticity, word stress, and Indian vocabulary versus slang. We talked about how rhoticity is how we use the R sound in English, and it's key to understanding different English accents. We discussed the word start and far in both the American, Indian, and British accents. We then talked about how Tamil looks, which is really, really cool, and how I finish off my emails there. As you can see, Anpu, right? Word stress, so thinking about where do we put the stress in the word, and how that also changes depending on whether it's a noun or a verb. And then we talked about Indian English versus British English, thinking about specific words and phrases and vocabulary. Like, for example, the difference between prepone and postpone and lack. Okay. I think that is everything. Yes. Guys, it's been a pleasure teaching you. We are going to log off now. I'll see you in... I don't know if there's going to be okay, it depends on what you guys want to hear. So if you let me know in the comments what you want for next week. But yes, we do tend to stream every Wednesday, same time, 2:30 p.m. London time. But I've been streaming since November, so I kind of want to take a 1 week break and then kind of come back to it. But depending on what you guys want and need. So yeah, watch out for the thumbnails. I always like to upload and plan ahead, so you can check out my channel, see if there's any scheduled live lessons, and it'll be great for you guys to join me. All right. Check out my socials as well. I do have links for Instagram, Patreon, Ko-fi, and all the rest of it. Thank you guys, and I will see you next time. Take care.